we're so caught up in the future. I remember my entire childhood. What are you going to do when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? What kind of house do you want? You know, oh, when I grow up and I make a lot of money, I'm going to become a doctor, and I'm going to have the dog, and I'm going to have the wife and the 2 kids and the white picket fence, and then I will be happy. Right? Well, what about right now? What about right now? This is Dan, World Travel Pro, and today we're going to shoot into a very special video. I'm coming to you from a very peaceful location here in a coconut grove on the island of Koh Phangan in the Gulf of Thailand. And around the age of 23, 24 years old, something very interesting happened to me. It was the moment I realized that money was never, ever going to buy me happiness. And that happened about 30 kilometers off in that direction on the island of Koh Samui. Now, I'm from Albany, New York, and I was raised pretty seriously to get good grades, work hard, study hard, go to college, get a job, and make money. Basically, it was all built up for me to go ahead and be successful and make money. And I don't really know what's behind all that, even to this day. Is it because money's supposed to buy me happiness? I don't think so, because it has not. I think it's more of a security thing, and it certainly has provided me security. Money for me has provided me freedom and security, but it's absolutely by no means at all bought me happiness. In fact, in some ways, it's actually made me very unhappy. Now, when I was 20 years old, I actually dropped out of college, and it was my parents' worst nightmare. And I bought a one-way plane ticket to South Korea, and I started teaching English there under the table. And I ended up growing out a business where I ended up making like quite a substantial amount of money. And I remember my time there in South Korea, and it was all about how much money I was making and building this business. And I remember riding the subways exhausted, you know, calculating like how much money I'm going to make this week, and trying to find some like joy in that, where I'm feeling good about myself. All right, last month I made $5,000, and this month I'm going to make $6,000, and go me. And meanwhile, I'm just like exhausted. I was getting up at like 6 in the morning and working until about 9 o'clock at night some days, and my business grew so much that my weekends turned into about 3 hours on Sunday. I was just out and about teaching English and just traveling all over the big city of Seoul in Korea, and I was just working like a dog. I remember being about 24 years old, and I was reaching like maximum burnout, and my hair was starting to turn gray even, and I was just like, it was just like all my childhood upbringing was just all about like money, make money, make money. The American society is very, you know, consumerism. What do you have? You know, like what kind of shoes do you wear? You know, if you want to get a girlfriend, you better drive the right car and wear the right thing, and you know, and all this materialism, and it did nothing for me except almost like eat away at my soul. And I was just like upset. Like when I got to Korea, I was 20 years old, and I was hungry and passionate and motivated, and all I wanted to do was just like make as much money as I could and just be successful and prove to my family, my friends that I can do it, and I can have money and be successful. And to a decent extent, that's exactly what I did do. And I'm grateful to this day that I did work hard. But the money didn't make me happy. It didn't make me happy at all. And I went and took some time off, and I went to that island just over there on Koh Samui, and I spent about, it might have been about 2-3 weeks, and I just traveled around the island. And I remember one of the key moments was I went for a hike, and there was like a little Buddhist temple like on a hill, and there was a monk there. And he was just sitting there so peacefully, and there was like some chickens around, and it was just like a real simple setting. You know, the monk, there was no TV, there was no fancy car, there was no gold chain around his neck, nothing. He was just sitting there so peacefully with this pleasant smile on his face. And it dawned upon me, I was like, oh my God, I want what he has. it was like the biggest light bulb in my head just went off. I was like, I have all this money and I can go and buy this and I can buy that, but I want what he has. And that was just peace and just to be happy and just have a pleasant smile. And he didn't need this and he didn't need that to have that inner peace and happiness. And from that moment on, my life was changed forever. And I changed everything about my life. Within 6 months, I went ahead and sold my business, and I brought my expenses way down, and I started giving myself free time. In Korea, I became somewhat wealthy in a monetary level, but I was completely broke in free time, and I was empty in happiness as well. And look at the beautiful butterfly. I just love nature. That's part of the reasons why I'm here, is because it's peaceful and it's relaxing, and it makes me happy to be in places like this. So I wanted to go deeper into how I can be happy and how I can enjoy this time, because in the Western world, we're so caught up in the future. I remember my entire childhood. What are you going to do when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? What kind of house do you want? You know, when I grow up and I make a lot of money, I'm going to become a doctor, and I'm going to have the dog, and I'm going to have the wife and the 2 kids and the white picket fence, and then I will be happy. Right? Well, what about right now? What about right now? And I learned these things from the most influential book. We'll call it an audio book, because that's how I received the information, through an audio book. And it's by Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. Maybe you've heard of this book. Maybe it's changed your life as well, but it definitely changed my life. And I was on a search for this kind of information through my experience in Koh Samui by looking at the monk and his peaceful, happy way of having basically nothing but a smile. And it led me to this information from Eckhart Tolle, and The Power of Now. And basically, the teaching of this book, to summarize it, is that all you really have is this moment. You know, to be caught up in your mind and all the continuous thoughts and the worrisome thoughts and the I'll be happy when thoughts, and waiting for that to happen and then I'll be happy thoughts, or oh, this happened to me in the past, and now I'm bitter and angry, and I just live this bitterness because somebody in the past just screwed me over so hard, and now I'm just, you know, even my present moment now is just destroyed because I go around with this negative energy and feelings because of my past. And the book told me is that all you really have is this moment. The future really doesn't exist. It exists in the now. So you have to, so right now is all we really have, and to let the time just go and slip right through your fingers, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you're old and gray, and you think about what you've done with your life. You know, were you happy? Did you live a happy life? Did you have many joyous moments? Were you peaceful? Or were you in an office stressed out from the age of 25 or from the age of 20 till the age of 65, and your whole life passed you out, but you have $1 million or $10 million in the bank, but you were working 50, 60 hours for basically your entire adult life, and it's gone. And what was your life? Did the money that you made, did that make you happy? Or were you busy toiling away with stressful, you know, work, so to speak? And that's a good segue into my next subject that I want to discuss, is that I'm not against work. I'm against work where it feels like digging a ditch, if that's physical or mental. If it feels like you're digging a ditch and it's just like work, and it's like, oh man, okay, 2 more hours left and then I can go home, you know, and then open my beer and watch some TV, or all right, thank God it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Let's go ahead and get drunk and forget about our worries, you know, and so much of society lives that way, and it almost breaks my heart, because I used to live that way, and I know, and I remember I was absolutely miserable. And ever since I made these realizations, I promised myself that I am never going to do work like that ever again. And in fact, I actually ended up traveling the world and taking so much time for myself, and it was so enjoyable. I spent years and years and years basically doing nothing really productive in the monetary sense, but it was fulfilling inside, and it built my character, and it gave me lots of joy. I did things like take 2 years off with my girlfriend and go ahead and bicycle all over Southeast Asia. We went from the Philippines to Bali. We biked around the entire circumference of that island. We were in Cambodia, we were in Laos, we were in Thailand, all over, just 2 years. And I had criticism from friends and family. What are you doing? You got to go back to work. Like, what are you, a loser? And I didn't care. I said, I'm living for me now, and I'm going to do what makes me happy, because I know that the money is not going to make me happy. So I did things like that. I ended up going to South America, and I was very passionate about like slow travel and just like slow movement. Because when you're like, I ended up buying a mountain bike, and I spent 3 months by myself mountain biking through the Andes Mountains. It was beautiful, one of the greatest experiences of my life. And it was so peaceful and so in the moment, because I wasn't on a car speeding down the road waiting to get where I was going. I was just like slowly bicycling, and people probably thought, what is this guy crazy going up this hill? But I didn't care. I was happy, and I was in the moment, just doing my thing and just being joyous in the moment. There was no rush to be anywhere, to get anywhere. A lot of the times I didn't even know where I was going to sleep the following day or that night. You know, I just had like a, we'll try to get to this town and we'll find a hotel when we're there. And it was some of the greatest times of my life. I really enjoyed it so much. After many years of just having all day, every day, just to myself, I actually started to get a little bit depressed, because I missed growing and building something of like a business that I can be proud of. But I promised myself I'm never going to go ahead and work again where it feels like I'm digging a ditch. And I'm only going to do things that I find enjoyable. And that brings me to you right now in this video. I started blogging on a platform called Steemit about 4 years ago, and it brought a lot of fulfillment to my life. So I'm not here telling you that work is bad. I'm just saying that if you are going to work, you need to find something that you enjoy. And blogging and doing videos like this is something that I enjoy. I find it rewarding, and therefore I'm doing it. And if I found it torturous and burdensome, I would not be doing it at all. So I'm so happy to go and be here in this peaceful location, this beautiful coconut grove on the island of Koh Phangan here in the Gulf of Thailand. And you tell me, have you felt like you were digging a ditch? Have you had to make some changes in your life? Has money bought you happiness? Has money brought you pain and suffering? Maybe it has. Leave a comment below. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and wrap this video up. From Koh Phangan, Thailand, Travel Pro checking out.